Jackson, Daniel J. Mahoney. Hi, Daniel.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm great, thanks, and thanks for the key to the city.
Absolutely.
That was really nice. We were very honored and flattered.
Well, it's very much deserved. Very much deserved and earned. JTV, you and Karen do so much for this community and sharing the good news of Jackson. And you deserve to be honored.
Well, thanks, but I do have one question. Shouldn't there be two?
You know, I can bring you another copy over. Okay, I'll bring you another copy over because you definitely should have a spare.
Well, last week Karen lost her keys, and I'm just concerned. Well, I'm sure we're going to hang it up. We're not actually. It doesn't really open any doors, does it?
You could try it,
Okay.
and if it does, let me know so I know which ones it opens.
Well, your choices seem to be very popular. I think the audience agreed with, well, in particular, Steve Tucker. Steve got two standing ovations last night, one for you and one for Steve Tucker.
Yeah.
That was probably one of your easier choices for that.
You know, this year they were all easy choices because we decided to do multiple. It was going to be hard if we had to narrow it down to just, you know, one or two like I've done in the last few years. But I said, you know what? This is my final state of the city address, and we're going to go outside the box on this one and honor multiple people. I'm just trying to make sure I increase my chances of being able to borrow somebody's keys after November to be able to get back in if I need to.
Yeah, you can use mine if you need it.
But yeah, it was a lot of personal selections in the individuals that we chose to honor last night. You know, people who have both assisted and watched me grow into this leadership position over the last 15 years. You know, like Steve Tucker, I've known Steve for since before I was an elected official, and I was hosting events at the Michigan Theater, trying to fill that place up. You know, and so it was a great full circle moment for me to be able to honor individuals who have contributed in such great ways to this community.
I was talking to Edward Woods, one of the recipients, before the event, and he was talking about how all of us, and really anyone in this community, we're such a small, close-knit town that it doesn't take much to make a big impact, and really people can contribute and really not have to put a lot into it to make a big impact.
You know, and it seems like that from the perspective of someone who selflessly gives in the way that many people in this community do. But you would be surprised how individuals who don't have that or have not reached a point in their life where they feel compelled to give in that way, how difficult it is for them to feel like, I don't know how you find time to do all of these things. You know, and I hear that so much from friends who I try to get involved, and they're like, man, I got one kid and I got a full-time job, and, you know, I don't know where I would ever find time to do anything outside of working my job and taking care of my family. And, you know, you'd be surprised what one can accomplish in 24 hours when they set their mind to saying, I'm going to give to the place that has given to me. And I think that's what makes it easier, makes us feel like, you know, it doesn't take much. We're a small knit community, but, you know, those small things, those small commitments that individuals make to give to others, to spend that time, to volunteer on a board, to show up for this community is what makes Jackson what it is.
And I think I'm like you in that I get it, you know, when the people aren't able to contribute. Maybe they will someday. But you addressed a segment of the community that I think is deserving to be addressed, and that is the naysayers on social media. And it sounds like it's getting to you.
You know, I think when negativity goes unchecked, it can grow. And in a way that it does not deserve to. in social media, because you're not directly in front of someone when you're saying negative things, sometimes can give people unmerited authority to say things that are not accurate, say things that are very far-fetched, say things that aren't true, and say things that are very hurtful, not just to the individuals that they're talking about, but to our entire city. And it just had to go. It had to be addressed in this moment for me. And it's not necessarily that it's getting to me, because I've got pretty thick skin, and I think that callous skin develops the longer that you serve publicly. You have to understand that, at the end of the day, you can't take people's personal opinions personal to you, because a lot of times it's the position, it's the title, it's the job, not the person. But what I've found is people are becoming more personally disrespectful to individuals who serve in this community in several different capacities. And it's very unfortunate, because it takes so much energy to spread negativity. It takes so much energy to do that. And it's unfortunate.
And you're right there. And you said last night, these people, they would never in the face-to-face encounter say what they've typed out in a Facebook post. And I know you've encountered people that they say something and then you see them, 2 days later and they're all smiles. And it's a way a lot of people, it's a cowardly way to hide.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And we have to do better. For those of us who love this city, for those of us who love this community, we have to defend it. We have to be like Jake TV. We have to spread the good news of this city and of this community. And that's not to say that we're perfect. And that's not to say that we should ignore the flaws in where we need to do better at. But we can only do better when individuals strive for us to do better. And I think that's what will make Jackson a better place.
There were really a lot of good news items in your state of the state. And sometimes you don't realize all the good that's happening until it's compiled in an event like the state of the state. As you were looking at what you wanted to talk about, what were some of those things that you wanted and did highlight last night?
So, one of the most important things is our efforts in rebuilding back our neighborhoods through all of our efforts in increasing available housing in the city of Jackson. So the 100 Homes program and the success that we've seen through that, the new developments that have opened up, like the Greenwood Apartments, which is open. And I met someone who lives in there the other day, and she's like, "Oh, it's so beautiful, it's so great." The Blackstone Apartments. One thing that we didn't mention is that Allen School has finally finished the capital stack that they needed for that redevelopment to happen. We didn't even talk about some of the future developments that we know are in the pipeline. I wanted to make sure last night that we celebrated the accomplishments that people can actually go out there and see. We also talked about the developments that we've had happen through the efforts of the MLK Corridor Committee, which is just transformational for the entire South Side. And I will repeat and say this over and over and over again. We're talking about reinvestment in Jackson's most historically, intentionally disinvested in neighborhoods on the South Side. And when we reinvest in those places, rising tides lifts all boats. So when we can bring that part of the community up, the entire city of Jackson comes up with it. And that does not stop us from doing work in other places, and so we've done road work. We've done a number of things that we were able to celebrate last night. And it was really just, the highlights. I mean, the Hayes Hotel, which is something that people literally said we were not going to be able to accomplish. And there were multiple roadblocks that we hit along the way to getting to the point where we are now, where the Hayes Hotel is now sold and under construction. And the commercial spaces are set to be completed by November of this year in celebration of the hotel anniversary. I think it's 100 years or something like that coming up this year for the Hayes Hotel. And working really hard to make sure at least those commercial spaces are up and running by that point. But that project is going to be huge for downtown Jackson.
Tyshawn Gray had a nice speech, and also your family was involved. Sophia introduced you, and she had a very short introduction. She sounded like she was concerned about the nepotism of how many members of your family were.
Well, that was my oldest daughter.
Okay.
I sat down and she was looking over the program, and my oldest daughter, who sung the national anthem for us, she leaned over and said, "Dad, this looks like nepotism to me. You got your mom, my mother, her grandmother, did the invocation, and then she sung the national anthem, and Sophia, my other daughter, who's also on our youth council, is who introduced me, and she said, somebody's going to say something about this." And I'm like, listen, I'd agree if any of y'all was getting paid, but you guys are here. You guys are here voluntarily. We don't have to worry about that. But she really impressed me. Both of them, and Sophia is probably my most introverted child. So for her to step out there and be willing to introduce me and stand in front of everybody and say such nice things. I mean, she's, they all mock me and coming up with something that the J stands for every single day. That's like a running joke in the house. And so I was anticipating to know what the M stood for last night in her introduction, and she did not fail, because I figured she was going to do that.
Well, I teased that we would find out what the J stands for today. So what is it?
Just relieved that the state of the city is done. It's a long middle name, but it works.
You hinted that, there's going to be a next chapter. Obviously, you've got big and busy family and a lot of other things going on.
Yeah.
And you're devoting some time to that. But will there be future public service or public office for you?
I think for anybody who has served in these capacities, been an elected official, served as a public servant in some way, once you look behind the curtain, you can't unsee what you saw. And I think that spirit will always be in me. And, who knows what the future holds. And I truly mean that. I love this city. I love this community. I love the people here. I love the businesses. I love the work. I love the hard times and the easy times, the times where meetings only take till 7:06 and the times where meetings take till almost midnight. I really, truly enjoy the work. But I also believe that there's a time for everything, which is what we started last night with. In my mother's prayers, she read scripture in Ecclesiastes, where it talks about there being a time for everything. And this decision did not come lightly for me to step back and take a moment for some mental clarity for myself and spend some additional time with and around my family after we've suffered such a huge tragedy. Bart, I've thought so much about all the what ifs. If I just, I can rearrange some time and maybe, step back in. Maybe I should, I could step back from mayor and I can do, but the Lord has really quieted my mind on trying to continue to stay in this space at this time and really truly take a step back so that I can make sure that I'm healed and properly able to show up in whatever space and capacity God has next for me. I don't plan on just disappearing, that's for sure. I do plan on staying involved in whatever ways I can. There's some committees that I'm interested in making sure that I stay involved in, and some things that I still plan to, plan to try to push for council and the city manager and our future mayor to have in their considerations. And I plan to stay available for this community and work in whatever capacity I can. I think leadership is something that's in you and does not always require you to hold a title for you to be impactful. And so I don't know what next looks like. I really truly don't. I just know what it doesn't look like right now, and I'm trusting God will unveil what path He wants me to go on next soon.
9 more months though as mayor, so
Yeah, the clock is still running, and that's another thing I said that I hope people know. The clock is still running right now, and so that means we still have time to make many more plays before the end. The beautiful thing about having such strong relationships with the individuals that I am privileged to serve with is that I have no fear or no worry about there being a quote unquote lame duck season for me as mayor, because I know that anything that I do is going to be in line with what our council also wants to see happen. And so I'm looking forward to the next 9 months of serving, and I plan to run until the time runs out.
All right. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the honor. We appreciate
You are
it.
more than welcome. It is an honor to be able to honor you and your wife for the way that you guys show up for this community. You
Thanks
guys
so
truly
much.
deserve it. And thank you for having me on.
Great to have you here. His Honor, Daniel J. Mahoney. Stay with us.